more crap that could have just as easily been thrown away or scrapped, but figured might be able to use it for something. It's a steel rod, threaded the end for something, and maybe a project he started. Same thing with that. That one's got quite the bend in it, but here's just a big old piece of all thread with a big old nut on the end there. This has got some evidence that he was welding on the end of that. It's got a bushing on it right there. I could take off and use for something else. But then there's this. Let me get this out of the way so I can... Alright, so what I'm looking at here. Alright, this is clearly... I believe this is some sort of a milling machine, like category 50 or something, big ass holder. Alright, it's got the I can't tell if the bore's tapered, but it's got the slot up in the end here where the tang of a big old milling cutter or drill bit would engage. It's got the telltale slot here where you put the key, one of those wedges in, and tap the wedge to drive the thing back out after you're done. It's got these grooves in it here where I believe that's where it would lock into the milling machine to be driven, like a big milling machine, like a K&T or something maybe. Alright, so that I understand. Here's where, and I'm assuming it's a drawbar because this piece of all thread right here is threaded into this. So I take this off and I believe that's what I've got here, is I've got a big old holder for something. What I don't understand is he had something welded to it, because there's all these weld beads on here that if I want to sell this, if there is any value to it, I'm going to have to grind off. And then he's got, well, he's got this thread here. He's got whatever the hell this is, just a flange. He's got this flange, huge nut, another nut behind it to lock it, and then this deal here, which is a big cone shaped piece of steel, which I'm thinking if it had the right top on it right here, it's a large machinist jack. So does anybody have any idea what the hell this is? What this whole setup was for? Oh, and here, this part of the rod here has got a flat on it, so you can put a wrench on it. Well, there you go. So that, if it wasn't confusing enough already. But you know me, I grabbed it. Need a faceplate for your South Bend 15? Got one. Also, this big ring of steel was on the floor near the milling machine. I grabbed it. Again, not quite sure what I'm going to end up using it for. I'll tell you what, well, it's not quite big enough, but if this was precision ground to an exact height on both sides, you could maybe lay this on the bed of the mill and run an indicator around it and use it to tram your head. But I think the diameter is not quite conducive to that job. Alright, so anyways, here's the faceplate I found on the floor underneath the lathe. So I do have reason to believe that this is indeed for a 15. And if we go center, let's see, if we go center, pretty much center height, center of the hole to there, we have 6 inches. So it's a 12-inch faceplate. 12-inch faceplate. Gee, I wonder if this is... This looks small to me. I don't know. Maybe this is... You know, when I bought the Hendy, I found a big 4-jaw old chuck leaning up against the wall behind the Hendy. And when I first saw it, I was so excited to see that big chuck. Oh, I said, oh, that's a nice perk to go with the Hendy, right? You know? Because I think the Hendy had a 3-jaw on it when I bought it. I actually don't even remember anymore. Anyways. Well, it turns out that chuck doesn't appear to fit anything. It's rusting away out there under the Alpine Lodge tent. Gotta get that out of there. Anyways, along with I think the Brown and Sharp vices out there too. Really gotta get that stuff in here, oiled up. So anyways, this just looks small to me. Just for giggles. We'll try it on the Vernon. Oh, I could have told myself that wasn't going to work right away. That definitely, the Vernon definitely looks like it's 6 TPI. I think I checked that once and I had forgotten. This looks like it's 8 TPI.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, this looks like 8 TPI. Vernon's 6 TPI and larger in diameter. Just kind of funny because that's a 14-inch lathe. What did I say the Hendy was way back when? Anybody remember? Well, what difference does it make if you remember? You're not going to be able to tell me. You can't talk to me through the TV screen. Through the computer screen. We don't have that technology yet. Can't like instant message me. Yeah, Steve, I know you're taping this live right now, but I'm talking to you from the future to let you know that, yeah, you said that was 8 TPI on that Hendy. And now behind the scenes, literally, the Hendy headstock is sitting on the floor behind us. And it's sitting low enough, there's no flipping way that I could try and screw this on there even if I wanted to. To be continued. I also found this disc of steel, which also appears to be, it's not stainless. Definitely made to go on a shaft that's keyed, a big shaft. I think I found some thin discs that also were the same size diameter with a key in them. That might act as shims or something like that. So I don't know if this was a part of a big horizontal milling machine setup or something. I don't know. I grabbed it just because I thought, again, you know, never know when I might need something. Good size 4-flute end mill. That's in the Cosmoline or whatever you call this stuff, or wax. Meaning that it either was resharpened or is new. I'm betting more likely it was resharpened. But the more astute observer may have just noticed what I just noticed, which is I have no idea what the heck this shank is on here, but it's not a straight shank. It's been funkified. That is, I don't know what that's for. I do not understand what that's supposed to fit into. That hole, I just looked in there, and I'll check one more time, but it is, yeah, it's not threaded. So what the heck? Or maybe it's threaded further down. Anybody recognize that type of mounting? Where are my guys? Where are my guys who know this stuff? Chime in, please. Ah, another paralleler packing with his name on it. Another pair that look like they match. Oh, so wait a minute, where is that odd one? Alright, so now I get 3 pairs. There it is. That'll work. 4 pair. Those will come in handy when I go to use the vise. 5. That's a match. Love it. Look at this thing. Obviously, carbide tip holder here, but it's missing the little hold down keeper there. I think. It's funny that doesn't want to come off. B, it just looks like it's just welded onto this bar, or maybe this bar was turned down. Alright, that's been funkified. Oh, I see. Okay, this says lock on the bottom. Oh, I see. Alright, so you put an Allen. Well, I don't have the size Allen wrench for this handy right here at the workbench. But anyways, it looks like you turn this screw right here to lock and unlock this. So that must be an eccentric head there. It's loose right now. So imagine if I loosen it up, if I turn it so it loosens a little more, it'll clear this little lip right here so I can take it off. And then I imagine if I tighten it, it'll tighten. And this is all imaginary. So this looks like this may have started out its life as a real regular holder, like a Kennametal or something. And then, dare I say, I think maybe this was cut off and then welded onto this rod. That's one way to do it. Not the way I would go about it, but it's one way. Alright, here's a nice little, well, I'm calling it a V-block, but I'm sure somebody's going to tell me that they recognize this as belonging to something else. Like, does that belong, is there a type of vise that uses that? Because it's got these little pins right here, these little locator pins. I don't know. But, got some nice surfaces here once they clean up. So it's got some degree of precision to it. But I am going to use it, if for nothing else, just to hold when I've got you know, a bit of rod or something that I'm doing an operation on, and I want to. Well, this is a little large for this, but you know, like that. Actually, you know, clamp it, right, and then go to town. Or not. This, another type of holder that I'm not familiar with. Clearly, threaded hole, drawbar pulls this up into the milling machine spindle, and that tapered fit's going to be tightening up. And then this hole right here, you got a set screw, a grub screw. You put in your drill bit or small end mill. Okay, this might be the original taper of the spindle in that Yugoslavian-made milling machine. But what's in there now that I'm trying to get out, and I got to get that drawbar unscrewed, is a quick change holder. And so what was on the shelf over by the milling machine are all of these quick change adapters. A whole bunch of them. This one's got a drill bit. These are marked PDQ Tool Company. And I already looked them up, and I think they're called pottage quick change system or something like that. And it's not a really common one. But I think the deal is that if you have, you know, a milling machine that has whatever this taper, I'm assuming this might be one of the original ones. Let's assume that this is like a number 40 taper or number 30 taper or whatever. and you have a milling machine that has this. Well, you can either have the spindle reground to R8, and then you can buy R8 tooling and call it's up to yang yang cheap, or you're at the mercy of paying big money for, from what I understand, for end mill holders and that are this taper. Now, I'm willing to bet when I finally get that quick change adapter out, what I'm going to find is that it's this taper. And once you put that quick change adapter in there, now that allows you to use this system of quick change adapters. And what that has is, instead of having to deal with the drawbar, it's got a star-like nut with a special wrench that fits it, and you just unscrew that nut and this pops right out. No drawbar engages the back of this or whatever, and you pop what you want to pop in next. So here's a roughing end mill that's broken, but this is an end mill holder. This one here is holding a drill bit currently. Here's one with a drill chuck on it. Here's one with an arbor. Well, okay, that looking at the tangs there, I'd say that's probably for a shell mill cutter. This one is a big Morse taper sleeve. Here's some more. Here's one with a stub drill bit in it. Here's one with a 4-flute large cutter on it. Here's one with a 2-flute end mill in it. Oh, here's one with a fly cutter. Obviously take that set screw, loosen that, and this comes out, and then whatever you want could fit in there. That's that shank. But what he's got in here right now is a fly cutter. I might keep that. Take the fly cutter out and just sell the holder. There's a holder that has nothing in it. There's another one with nothing in it. There's a big end mill holder. Okay. And here's another Morse taper sleeve. That one's got a lot of surface rust on it. But, you know, unless you've got one of these special quick change holders, one of these isn't going to be of much interest to anybody. There's a guy on eBay who had one of these up. He wanted $29.99 for it. It didn't sell. He relisted it at $23.99. I still don't think it sold. Not a lot of activity on it. But if I list all of the holders together with the master holder that goes in the spindle, then I've got some value here, I believe. And this alone, I think, might come close to covering over half of what I paid for the whole kit and caboodle here. So a lot of my value hinges on the ability to get that damn master holder out of that spindle. Even if I have to take that whole head off that machine, I might do that. Yeah, just another bar of steel. Might be already hardened, I don't know. A small little chuck here. This is a Jacobs. This has got a threaded bag. That's a little chuck off just off a drill. Here's a chuck that's got a Jacobs taper to the back of it. This is a Jacobs number 32, 3/8. Okay. That actually looks like it's in excellent condition, just other than being dirty and not having anything on it for a arbor. Look at this one. Now that's getting creative there. Looks like he had looks like this is a regular Morse taper to Jacobs taper adapter. And it looks like it snapped on him. And then it looks like he drove a pin in there and then stuck this back over it and welded it, and then it broke again. Well, if I can get this, this is also a Jacobs. This is a number 34. Might be worth trying to save this chuck if I can get that out of there. I don't know. It's a cone-shaped grinding stone. There's a little deburring. Chamfering cutter. High-speed steel. There are a bunch of those. These are interesting. These are little... I don't know what the hell these are. These are collars to clamp onto something. But then they have this bar going through them. And there's two of them. Same way. So does anybody have any idea what these are for? I got two of them. I'll just grab the camera and come over here and show you some other stuff quick before I go to bed. There's some more stuff here in this box that I just this bucket I just threw in there when we were taking stuff off the mill. I got a bunch more T-nuts that fit that mill. I haven't checked yet, but yeah, they're not gonna fit the wells. Oh well. Alright. I can modify them to fit the wells, I guess. This is an interesting little handle here. I wonder what that came off of. Indexer or something maybe at some point? I don't know. And then there's some of these little... That looks like a European style tool holder. Awfully small one. And just some good Allen head screws here. Good size ones. Okay. These were on the floor by the milling machine. When I first saw them, I thought they were pieces of wood. They are solid steel. Solid steel somethings. Don't know what the purpose is, but they're probably 2.5, 3 inches wide. They're both the same height. These Allen cap screws go all the way through and stick out the bottom. I don't really know what the purpose of these was. My thinking was you could lay these on top of the bed of the milling machine and they could act as big ass strong like parallels or something to support something that you were milling maybe. I don't know. Because they're almost identical in size, but they're heavy. So I grabbed those. Here's just a hunk of unidentified steel. Here's another piece like that, like those two long ones I just showed you, but it's a smaller one. Actually, even these tubes of grease came out of that estate. I got these for $1 a piece. What the heck kind of grease is this? I forgot what the name was on this. IHC? No, THC. Texas Refinery Corporation. I don't know how old that is. But you know what? For greasing something like an old tractor or something like that, who cares? What else is over here? Here's the compound off of that south bend. This was buried underneath the lathe under a ton of dirt. It wasn't on there because of that 4-way turret tool post setup that somebody had put on there instead. So it was nice that this hadn't gotten lost. Here's my micrometer stop. That's nice to have. You know, I think I've already got one for the Vernon. So we'll have to check that out if it fits the Vernon and if it's nicer than the one I have for the Vernon. That's got a, also it's got, okay, it's got a micrometer stop and then it's got a, like a positive stop here. It's kind of neat. This is just a big hunk of steel for a bushing of some type. Same thing with this. This is just a square piece of stock. Those gears there, I believe, came off of, yeah, those gears came off of the lead screw and the headstock tail end there to drive the lead screw. This chuck was laying, I believe this chuck was laying under the lathe. That chuck was laying under the lathe, and that chuck was laying under the lathe. And then I've got out in the Alpine tent, I think still is, I've got the 3-jaw that was on the spindle. So I ended up with 4 chucks that are probably all the 8 TPI. Oh, you know what I can do? I could take that little one and I could see if that'll fit the Handy.